Welcome to AdCast. I'm Ad Systems Multimedia Specialist Brian Cohen, and today we're joined by Phil LaRochelle, Manager of Business Applications at Dead River Company, as well as President of the Ad User Group, or AUG. Phil, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me here today, Brian. I appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure, our pleasure. First, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well as your role at Dead River?
Yeah, so as you mentioned before, my name is Phil LaRochelle, and work in the IT department at Dead River Company, Manager of Business Applications. That seems like a mouthful. Really what it is my group and I, we deal a lot on the software side of things. So, we work a lot with folks like you and the rest of the ads organization that's right within our wheelhouse with software. So been with the company for a while. Actually, an interesting story there is part of the group that helped bring the current system and the current technology of ads into the organization. So we were on an older version of ads. And one of the reasons they brought me on board was to help implement the newer E3 application into the organization. So that was a lot of fun, getting to travel around, work with different people, and install the application across our regional footprint. So, that's really what we focus on: projects, software deployments, enhancements to software. We've got a great internal engineering team too. So we do a lot of work with them when it comes to, let's say, custom software builds that we do.
Excellent. Now, how long have you personally, as well as maybe Dead River as a company, been partnered with Ad Systems?
I mean, long before I joined, we were on an older product from the company. So I'm actually not certain the entire length of the relationship, but I can tell you we've been on E3 for close to, I think, 15 years now.
One of the things Ad Systems finds extremely valuable is the ad user group, and you're intricately involved with that group. So can you tell listeners a little bit about the AUG?
Regardless of what you are involved in with software, I'm always going to advocate, get involved in software user groups. And that's what really the ads user group is. It's a software user group where customers who use that software can get together and we can bounce ideas off of each other. We share information. And I think the most important thing that we do, not just building relationships across companies, but the next most important thing we do is we get to talk with folks from Ad Systems and say, here's some direction in terms of where we want to see the product go. And I think that's a super powerful thing, is to not only talk about how can we use the product better, but to influence the product roadmap. And we do that through the voting process and through the enhancement process, where people get to put in their ideas. And we take a look at that and we say, how do we take these ideas and how do we get them in front of Ad Systems? And how do we prioritize the things that a lot of people are saying, hey, this would be really neat. Can we get this added to the software? And that's a really great process. It's a lot of fun. And it's really empowering. It's empowering as a customer to be able to look at those things and say, hey, ads, here's the top 5, the top 10 things we'd like you to get done for us, please. And then to see those things happen is very fulfilling. And it's nice to be able to influence the product direction like that.
Now, can you talk a little bit about what your current role is with the AUG?
Yeah. So right now I have the president role of the AUG. So really it's my responsibility in that role to help get all the rest of the AUG leadership team together for the year and just kind of plan out a few different really important events. One is our May presentation that we do. We go through our enhancement process and our voting process in order to get that product direction in place for the year. And then there's a handful of other things we might try to achieve within the year, whether it might be recruiting, membership, making sure that we've got a good flux of new committee members coming in and folks who might be rotating out of their roles, and just making sure we've got that going on, and that each committee itself feels like they've got engagement from their committee members and direction and what they're trying to do. And then every once in a while, we might make a change to kind of our structure and how we operate in order to make improvements to what we're trying to make happen. And then every once in a while, we have different presentations and things that we try to do and get engaged in the BTC conference. And that's always exciting.
Excellent. Now, for those that are listening that aren't AUG members, can you talk about the process for joining the AUG?
Super easy. If you're interested and if you're a customer of ads, you should sign up. It's super easy. You just email myself or Regina, who helps us with these things, and we'll send you a welcome packet. We'll get you signed up. And from there, if you have any questions or, there's different committees, there's different ways to engage. Once you're part of the user group, we can help you answer those questions and see how we can get you engaged in those different groups or however you want to participate.
Now, for you personally, what are some of the most valuable things the AUG has to offer?
There's two things that come to my mind immediately. There's probably other things, Brian, but like there's two things that float to the top of my brain very quickly. One is the connections being made with other people in the industry. You might have this challenge or this thing that you're thinking about. And it's great to be able to make connections with other people in the industry and say, hey, have you run into this same thing and how are you handling it and what are you doing? And a lot of that kind of dovetails in with our best practices user group and the things that they do. So it's really cool to be able to have people get on those things and share information. We recently just did one on, I think it was cybersecurity. That was a great sharing session on some best practices there and something that's probably top of mind for a lot of people lately. So to me, that's number one of the best things about the user group. And I would say it's fair to say any challenge you might be experiencing as an organization, probably not the first time someone's gone through it. So reaching out to your friends and your peers in the user group, I think a lot of them have some great perspective and ideas that they can talk to you about. And then I'd say the second thing that I feel is very powerful about the user group, and I mentioned this before, was it's really the ability to influence the product direction. And that's extremely powerful. How does ads know where to bring the product and what the vision of the product is? And I'm sure you have your own ideas on that, but part of it is customer feedback too. And the AUG is a great way to deliver that customer feedback. And for us to say, this is what we really value kind of at the top of the list. This is what we'd like to see you work on sooner rather than later. And we've been able to reap the rewards of that several times. Because if we didn't go through that process, for all we know, ad systems might be like, we're not seeing anyone really ask about this, so maybe we'll prioritize that 3 or 4 years from now. And instead, we've been able to get things slid to the top of the list. And then, once you upgrade or once it's available for use, take advantage of that. And that's an awesome thing.
Now, can you talk about the dialogue that occurs between the AUG as well as the team at Ad Systems and how you feel that conversation leads to updates and product enhancements?
So I think there's a couple things that happen there. We have a design committee, and the design committee is great because what happens there is ads reaches out to the design committee and says, hey, we're working on something. Maybe it's something the AUG prioritized, maybe it's not. We want some feedback from our customers as we start going through the design process. So once again, our ability to influence what's going on there through the design committee, that's a very excellent thing. I would say the other thing that happens is when we vote on what we would like to see prioritized, there's some dialogue that goes back and forth between, hey, here's what we voted on, and then ads does some review there and then reaches back out and says, hey, can we get a little bit more information? Let's do a deeper dive into this. Let's make sure we're meeting the requirements and the spirit of, I think, the thing that was voted on. And then that's a great thing too, because you don't want to really make any assumptions on, hey, this thing says something. Is that really what people want? So I think that back and forth is helpful to really narrow in on, yeah, this is what is being requested. So how do we understand the requirements of that and build really what is being asked for?
Now, one of the biggest aspects of the AUG are the monthly best practice calls. Can you talk about those and the importance they have for all of the AUG members?
Yeah, that goes back to really the sharing of information with peers and colleagues in the industry. It's really interesting to hear what people have to say on those calls. It's a great learning experience. You get a lot of smart people who are able to share their experiences and what they've done on the phone. And, sometimes you'll hear stuff like, oh, yeah, that's what we've done too. And that's validating. And then other times you'll hear some stuff and you go, ooh, that's a really good idea. We should look into that and see what we should do there. And I know even within the industry, there's nuances and differences between businesses, but still hearing kind of like, oh, this is how you can do this with the system to meet your need, or this is what we've tried, or this is a workaround that we've done, or, hey, have you looked at this part of the system? Are you using it? One of the things that I see happen a lot, people won't realize that the system does something. And they'll be like, gee, I wish it did X, Y, Z. And what they end up realizing when they hear someone else say, well, we do that. So it could just be a training communication thing, or it could just be, hey, once you upgrade from the version you're on to, whatever this next version is, that functionality is available. And I think people don't know what they don't know. So joining those calls and hearing people talk about this is something we've tried, or have you tried this, or, oh, you just need to upgrade to get the thing that you want. I think that can be really valuable for people. And when you take a look at people in the industry, I think there tends to be people who wear a lot of hats. So when you have many responsibilities, it can be hard to sit there and say, I'm going to read through all the what's new documentation for every version of ads that's out there. So I think by spending a little bit of time on some of these pointed calls that interest you, you might learn some interesting things within that hour and say, oh, that's cool. What can I do there? And I always encourage people to participate too, not just listen in. But, there's no judgment. All ideas are good. All comments are good. So I think people should feel comfortable to join those calls, not just to learn, but to share, because someone else might have a question that they haven't vocalized that you could help answer. Or someone might be like, wow, that's really neat what that company is doing. We should think about doing that too.
Excellent. So can you talk about the difference between the best practice calls as well as the monthly committee meetings? Because some people might be confused about the differences between the two.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Each committee has a committee chair who's responsible for engaging with the users on their committee. And I think those meetings have a couple different purposes. One is shepherding the group through the enhancement process. So if you're engaged in a group, you're going to be able to review all the things that people have submitted for ideas that align with your group. So let's say you're part of the Raven delivery group. And over the course of the summer, people are going to submit all of these ideas. And let's say we have 100 ideas. You're on that committee, you're going to get a chance to see all those 100 things that people submitted and kind of look through them and try to help prioritize what gets to the leadership committee for voting. So there's a lot of power in those monthly meetings to be able to do that and just try to see what are people talking about and what are on people's minds when it comes to these ideas that are coming up. I think the other thing that happens too is, while the best practices call has a specific agenda each month that changes, the individual committees are about talking about their specific area of expertise, let's say monthly, if that's how often they're meeting. So, if you are like, hey, this best practices call, that's pretty cool about cybersecurity, but I really want to talk about delivery in Raven, well, there's a committee for that. And, they're talking about different things at interval. And, you might want to join that committee and say, hey, I've got questions or ideas or things that I really want to be able to talk about related to Raven. So I think that's why it's good to be part of specific committees. Not only do you get to see all the ideas people are submitting and be able to prioritize them, but you also get to have pointed conversations about that specific subject area. And, I think as a customer and going through the process of implementing various components of ads over time, that can be really beneficial too. If you're coming on board and you're like, hey, we really want to implement Pegasus, service dispatch and tablets, and you might say to yourself, it might be really good to join the service committee so we can have more pointed conversations about those things as we're going through those deployments. And then after the fact, as you work through it and you say, hey, I'd really love this new feature to be added. As we've implemented Pegasus, you're on that committee, you can bring those things up, you can submit those ideas, and you can try to use your influence there to say, how do we improve the specific product on the committee that I'm at?
So as the AUG president, what advice do you have for people who are thinking about or have just joined the AUG to make it the best possible experience for them?
I would say several things. One is engage in the best practices calls, especially if there's subject matter coming up that you're really interested in, and participate in them, not just listen, but participate. Join a committee that you're interested in. So, if you're part of the AUG and you're like, hey, I really want to learn more about service, I really want to more about delivery, I really want to learn more about business intelligence, join one of those committees. Reach out to myself, reach out to Regina, reach out to the committee chair and say, hey, how do I get more involved? Because that's really the power of the AUG to me. Going back to some statements I said before, is engaging in the committee process to influence the product roadmap direction. That's a huge part of it. And you get to meet a lot of cool people and you get to share a lot of neat ideas. That's where I would suggest spending your time as a new committee member is reach out, get to meet some people, figure out what committee you want to join, and we can help you do that along the way. If you've got any questions, you can always email me and be happy to help answer any questions and provide any direction that's needed.
Excellent. Now, for those people that are involved with the best practice calls every month and they're part of the AUG, but they want to take that next step and they want to become part of the leadership team of the AUG that works hand in hand with you, how would they go about doing that? And what are the benefits of being part of that leadership team?
Yeah, so I would say one of the best ways to start is to join a committee and be on that committee for a little bit. If you'd like to take a leadership role, you can always reach out to me and we can talk about opportunities that are either already available or coming up and see if any of those align with your interests. And then when that time is right, we can see about making that change occur. So I think we actually have an opening right now on our upgrade and technical performance and security committee. So if anyone's interested, they should reach out. And then we do have some recruiting that we're trying to do. We have a BI chair, but their term is coming due. So we're recruiting for that. Same thing for Raven. We have a chair for our Raven delivery group, but their term is coming due. So we are actively trying to recruit for several of the committees. So you should feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to those committee chairs for the ones that already have a chair and let them know about your interest. Here's the huge benefit of being part of the leadership team. You get to be part of the final voting group about what does get prioritized to add systems for the pipeline. So I mentioned before, each committee, you get to look through all the things submitted, and then you get to float the things to the top that you submit to the leadership team. And then the leadership team has to narrow that down even further to, something reasonable that ads can work on over the course of a development year. So that's really where you get to generate the most influence, is being part of that leadership team. We also it's our job to help organize our own committees. And we create some presentations for our annual May presentation. It's part of our job to do that. And we also get involved once again in the BTC. So, I think the BTC has been in Florida for several years. Want to go to Florida? You can come down anyway, but if you're part of the leadership group, I think you have even more of a reason to join us at the BTC event. So if you enjoy doing those things, if you say, hey, I like organizing events and I like having the ability to influence product roadmap direction, and I think it's a great leadership opportunity too. So if you're looking to expand your skill set and you're looking to say, hey, I want to show that I'm doing more, and I want to show that I'm motivated to do more, and I want to show that I have an opportunity here to gain some leadership experience, because maybe you're looking to, have some mobility within the company that you're working in. I think it's a great idea to get involved in the committee as a leadership team member, because, we're all friends, we're all peers, and that can be some of the most rewarding leadership opportunities. There's no hierarchy really, right? It's not like anyone reports to me. I'm the president, but it's not like I actually have any control over anyone in the AUG. That's not how it works, right? This is all us getting together as a user group saying, how do we make things better as customers? So it's a lot of fun when you think about it that way, and you get some room to flex some leadership skills, which is great to add, I think, to the portfolio of your skill set if that's what you want to do.
Well, you mentioned the AUG annual meeting, and that's coming up Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. Can you give a little preview about what attendees can expect at that?
Yeah, so more of me talking, unfortunately. But so we do a presentation. I think this year we're doing it virtually, which we've done for the past several years. So we have a PowerPoint. We go over an update. What are we trying to accomplish? We kind of get into some of the same questions you've asked me here today a little bit, like, hey, what is it that we do? Why is it important? Each committee team member gives an update over, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish, and these are some cool things that happened last year to show that progress is being made. And if they have any announcements, maybe they're looking to recruit more people, maybe they're looking to recruit and replace themselves as a committee chair. So lots of fun stuff there about what's going on in the world of the AUG. We also give a couple other report outs around, we'll mention some membership stats again, and we'll also put a plug in for any open chairs or recruiting opportunities that we're looking to do. Ads gives a great update about, hey, here's some product roadmap updates. So always love hearing that. And then I think this year, just like we did last year, there might be some sessions at the end, more specific areas that people might be interested in going. We call them breakout sessions. Say, hey, if you're interested in this specific topic, come join us in this other meeting room and learn a little bit about, whatever that topic might be. So that's always very interesting too. It's always good to learn more and understand what ads can provide their customers.
Well, next year, the agenda will be changing because in 2023, the AUG annual meeting will take place at the 2023 BTC in person for the first time in a long time. Can you talk about what people can expect at that event?
So let me see. The last time we had one, I want to say it was around 2017 or something like that. It was in Florida. So, May is a great time to go to Florida for one thing. So that's exciting. If I remember correctly, we had a lot of events. There was a lot of cool events to go to. You get to sign up for different things and say, hey, I want to go learn more about Smart Connect, or I want to go learn more about Raven, or I want to go learn more about wholesale. So there was a lot of knowledge sharing and information sessions you could go to and say, yeah, this is stuff I want to understand more about. And last time, Ads asked several of their customers to help in the presentations as well, not just AUG members, but customers. So that was really cool to be able to get up there and be able to help Ads do some presentations with, hey, this is what we've done with Smart Connect, or this is what we've done with this part of the product. That was a lot of fun. So you can expect a lot of presentations, a lot of good information. You get to meet some people. You get to have some fun in sunny Florida. Here's the secondary benefit. A lot of people bring their families and they're like, hey, I'm going to Florida anyway, and we're going to be at Disney. Why don't you come on down, join me? And I know there were some people that hung out in Florida for a few days after the BTC ended with their families. So that's really exciting for them and for anyone who has an idea to do that. So kind of make it a multi-event approach if you want to, which is come for business and then afterwards stay for some family fun and get to enjoy Florida. And I think one of the other things we did too is this big dinner luau that happens kind of toward the end, which was a great time. It's getting to hang out with folks in a non-business environment and just get to chill and, have some fun and eat some great food and get to talk with folks from Ads and folks from a lot of other companies in just a really relaxed environment. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
We certainly look forward to seeing you there next year at the 2023 BTC. Now, you have mentioned throughout this interview that if people have questions for you, they could reach out to you. Why don't you let them know how they can do that in case they have any questions about the AUG or want to become more involved?
So you can get a hold of me. The best way to get a hold of me, I think, for something like this would be my work email. That's Phil LaRochelle at deadriver.com, and I'll spell it out so you can get it. It's PHIL.LAROCHELLE at deadriver.com. So yeah, you can feel free to email me at that. If you have any questions, if you're interested more about the AUG or what we do, happy to, either reply to the email or schedule a time to jump on the phone. And, I look forward to it. So we always like getting new members. And like I said, we're recruiting right now. So if you're interested in leading one of the groups, you should definitely reach out. It's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. And you want to go to Florida, right? So you want to go to Florida next year. So definitely connect with me and we can talk about it.
Well, Phil, we appreciate all you do for the AUG, and we thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate it. It was fun.
To keep up with the latest happenings at Ad Systems, visit adsys.com/blog or connect with us on social media by following Ad Systems on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you have any questions about AdCast, feel free to reach out to us at adcast@adsys.com. Thanks for listening and have a great day.